Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to a very special presentation of PHLY Flyers this week. I am proud to be joined by one of the greatest Flyers of all time, second in franchise history regular season goals, just behind Barber and McLeish, one goal in all-time playoff goals, 34 goals, 75 points as a rookie with the Flyers, 3 Cup appearances in Philly, couple of more elsewhere. Brian Propp joins us today. Flyers legend. How are you, Brian?
Guffaw. I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me.
You're here. We want to talk about your book, Angel on My Wing, a story of faith, determination, and courage. Just very happy to be joined by you today. And a lot of the book centers around very important date in your life.
Yeah.
September 3rd, 2015, you suffered a stroke. And you go through a lot of the health complications that led up to that. My father-in-law went through something similar, so the ablation and the AFib. Pretty familiar with that entire, that whole thing. But 9 years later now, how are you? Because you look great.
I'm doing pretty well. My book's about my faith because my dad was a Lutheran minister. And he preached in English and German every Sunday. And I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. We're all 13 months apart. So we had our own hockey team. And growing up in Saskatchewan, it's a town of 300 people. So you know everybody. And all you did is play hockey and go to school. And so, but my dad taught me at the start how to live the life. Especially when we went to Brandon Wheat Kings when I was 17, he taught me that, hey, listen, be happy with your life because it takes care of yourself. And so my dad has the faith, and so that's a lot of that is about believing that I got better.
Is that where your positive attitude comes from? Because you write quite a bit about that and your father being the Lutheran minister, like how determined you were to just kind of keep going through a lot of different times you faced adversity. Did your positive attitude come from that faith?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm always a positive person. Like I know when I started with the Flyers in 78, 79, we had the 35 undefeated streak and went to the finals. So it was a good way to get started. And Bob Clarke was a great leader for me. He taught me how to be a good leader because I was really quiet at the start. But now I can talk a little better. But yeah, it made a difference. And so just being with the Flyers for 11 years and 5 years of some other teams. I know all the people, and then for doing the radio for 9 years with Tim Saunders and the other alumni, you know what's going on in the world, and you're just happy to be alive and still working on it. But my stroke, I couldn't talk or walk when I first got it, and so I was really frustrated at that time because you can't communicate, and I almost died. So I'm thankful to be alive, but it takes time with the brain to heal, especially my speech, because I couldn't talk at all. I had to relearn how to talk, and so I've come a long way from that. And the things that I've done, hints in my book that I've done, really can help a lot of people that have strokes.
Yeah, I think there is a great message in your book with that. And again, having seen somebody go through it, it is an arduous process. And now you look tremendous. Better shape than I'm in, absolutely, without a doubt. I want to talk a little bit about your career because going back to your time in juniors, you basically won 50 games a year with Brandon every year. You go to a Memorial Cup. Your rookie year, no big deal, 34 goals, 75 points. Go 35 games without losing, go to a Stanley Cup final. Did you just get there and think, oh, this is easy, I'm this good?
Well, yeah, of course, because in Brandon for 3 years, we had powerful teams. We only lost 12 games in my 1 year, 8 games my last year, and then 5 with my last year. So so used to winning. And then with the Flyers, we started, and first game I scored the game-winning goal. Played with Bob Clarke and Reggie Leach, and against Bill Smith and the Islanders, and then I had an assist, and then we lost 9-2, and I was like, oh, is this what the NHL is going to be like? And then we went 35 without a loss after that. But yeah, so it went really well, and I'm just happy to be here the last 45 years and giving back to the charities that I help with.
So you're drafted 14th overall in 1979 after setting all sorts of goal scoring records in Brandon. What was your draft story? Because the draft wasn't then what it is now, the big major event. How did you find out that you'd been drafted? What was your reaction that you were going to be a Philadelphia Flyer?
Yeah, well, we didn't make that much money my first years, because my first 3 years I made 50, 55, and 60,000. I lived on $1,000 a month budget, and then, so I had to work on the farm to raise some money, and so they just called me because I didn't know I got drafted, but the Flyers called me, and so I had to pick up the phone and talk to Keith Allen. And then, so I was really happy that I got drafted there. But I didn't follow hockey that much. But the last year, of course, I did. But I knew I was going to be a good player. But going to the Flyers made a difference because they were kind of rebuilding with a couple of younger guys. And then Pete Peters was a recce that year, and so was I. And then Kenny Linsman and Ben Wilson were just started. And so they were rebuilding a nice team.
Well, it was rebuilding might not be the word, just because you got put on the line right away with a couple of other legends, Bob Clarke and Reggie Leach. Just what was that like, kind of getting that experience your first time out in the NHL?
Yeah, so I wasn't not in awe of them, because I knew that I could be a good player, but of course Bob Clarke, he talked all over the ice, and he kind of told me where to go. But then having a guy like Reggie, like with the scoring, we kind of fit together. And then after 20 games, Bill Barber went back to the regular line, and I went with Ken Linsman and Paul Holmgren. It was another nice combination of people. But we had 4 good lines and defense, and Pete Peters was a rookie, and Phil Muir that year. And then Pat Quinn was a coach. And so I just really learned a lot from Pat, and learned from Bob Clarke how to practice hard.
How tough was Pat Quinn? I'm glad you brought him up, because his name has come up in a couple of different podcasts recently, just stories of how tough he was throughout his career. He's your first coach in the NHL. What's that like for you?
Yeah, well, he was a good player for 15 years in the NHL, but he was a tough defenseman. But he was really good with lines and talking with people, communicating with people. Then Keenan was a little different, but he got results too. But Pat was great. I loved him, and then I played with Kenny Linsman and Paul Holmgren, and but Kenny was kind of different because he got lost all the time, and so we had to redo the drills every because he messed them up a little bit.
That's great. Game tying goal, Game 6, 1987, Edmonton Oilers to force 7 against Gretzky. What's that feeling? Like the puck goes in the net and you experience what?
Yeah, well, at that time it was Game 6, and so we come from behind, and Hextall was a good goalie at that time, and so it was winding down, and so I didn't want to lose in Philadelphia, but we had 6 minutes left, and I scored a power play goal to tie it 2-2, and then JJ scored, and after that to force a Game 7. And you never know, you get a Game 7, you always have a chance to win. But Edmonton was pretty powerful, and unfortunately we lost that game. But I think the people in the city loved the effort that we had, so it really made a big difference.
People still speak, especially the '80s teams as a whole, 3 Cup finals, but the '87 team especially. People just speak of it as if you had won. It's almost like, oh yeah, no, that was our 3rd cup. We forced 7 against that Gretzky dynasty. Is that the height of your career, scoring that goal, forcing Game 7? Does anything compare to that?
Yeah, that was one of the best memories that I had. But and that year, we played 26 games, out of 28 games, and so we were beat up. And Mark Howe was such a great player, and Tim Kerr was hurt too. So if you have a player like Tim Kerr who could score a power play goal, makes a difference. But we were beat up, and so that's why people appreciated our effort, because we gave it everything that we had. We loved the city, we loved winning, but it wasn't meant to be.
What made the Spectrum so special? People talk about that Game 6. Oh, that's the loudest I'd ever heard it. This is a building they'd won a cup in before. I grew up there going to Phantoms games. I love the Spectrum. What made it so special for the players?
Well, the rink was smaller, and then the second level was actually better seats than the down below. But it's tough because we had such tough players. So they were scared of us. Like they had the flu every time they played in Philadelphia. So that made an advantage that we had right at the start. But having a good team with like Bob Clarke leader, and then later Tim Kerr and Dave Poulin and Mark Howe and Brad McCrimmon, we always were in the playoffs, and we knew we could win at any time. So it was special for me just to be a part of that. Because, I'm pretty smart because I was fast, but I bought all the guys, the tough guys, beer, and then they protected me.
That's the way to do it. I mean, you have to take care of the guys who take care of you.
Yeah, of course.
So you come to the Flyers in a weird transition period. There's still some of the 70s guys left, and they're still very good. And then you transition to that 80s team that goes to the 3 finals, and then you're traded a couple of days before the deadline in 1990. Dave Poulin was traded a few weeks earlier. Yeah. By the next year or two, Tockett's gone, Tim Kerr's gone, Mark Howe is gone. Did you guys kind of all feel that coming, that there was going to be change? What was that like?
Yeah, I think at that time, Ed Snider wanted to use his son Jay to run the team, and he was just doing the numbers, so he didn't really understand the leaders, the better key players were there. But that was the year I had a hand injury. I missed 27 games, and so just got back to play. And then Bob Clarke, he did me a favor by trading me to Boston, where Dave Poulin was there. Because in the 80s, Dave and I were two of the best penalty killers in the history. And so, and then they were number 1 in the year. And so, I was able to, get another chance to win a Stanley Cup. But, it just changed because of the money. And money was starting to get better. And, but they wanted to use the younger guys like a Tocchet or that captain, the leaders. And so they wanted to kind of just do a little better with that. But I think missing a couple of veterans kind of made a difference.
A lot of your career in Philly overlaps with the Jay Snider era, but I have to believe you have a few good Ed Snider stories too. Is there one that really stands out that you can share with us? Because I never really got the Ed Snider experience, just a little too late for me to really recognize how loved he was as an owner.
Yeah, well, he did everything he had to try to win a Stanley Cup, and so he traded players, or he got guys that were character players, and he always gave back. He was passionate about hockey. He liked to be at every game, and so that's what made the team. And he built with character players, so that made a difference. But I know, for me, after my stroke, he helped me out. He gave me some money just to recover from the stroke because I wasn't making that much money. So I just remember that that helped me just to get on and better.
It seems like he was a pretty decent guy, Ed Snider, always looking out for the people who helped make him what he was, because that's what the Flyers really were.
Yeah, and so I think that's what they're getting back to now. The last couple of years with Briere and Jones and Dan Hepelder, and they're kind of back to character players and tougher players and effort, and so they're building the team right, and so I'm excited about the team this year.
Has the relationship with the alumni and the team improved? Was it in a worse place and now it's better than it was?
Yeah. Ever since Brad Marsh took over the alumni, I'm on the board of the Flyers alumni with a couple other guys, but he's done a great job of helping the team and of the events that we have. We have a golf tournament. We have a weekend in next summer, the whole weekend for the alumni, and we have the golf tournament. We're gonna have pickle guard, and then just other things just going on, and so it helps by giving back and doing all the things that we have.
That's outstanding. What are you up to now? I mean, you're Propp, Flyers legend. You're promoting this book, and everyone out there, you need to pick it up. But what are you up to on a day-to-day basis?
Well, so I have my own cigar brand, the Gaffa cigar brand from the Dominican Republic. I went like 7 years ago with Ken Dunnick, a former Eagle, and my son Jackson, to the Dominican Republic, to checking out a couple factories. So we just had the education on how they're made, aged, and done. And so I decided to make my own brand, my Gaffa brand. Like it took a year to get that set up. So I started with 425 boxes of my limited edition 56 by 5 inch. And when they sold okay, then I decided to make a mild, a medium, and a Maduro, a little variety, but a 56 by 6 inch. And so, like I have like some 5 packs or boxes of 10 or 24 or bundles. If anybody wants, they can just call me and I can give them to you. But they're really good. They're from the Dominican Republic and the Chicago, the distributors in Chicago. So everything's up and up.
Now, if you're unable to just call Brian Propp, not everyone has that. GaffaCigars.com. You can order them online as well. You were telling me right before we started about your wife's business with the IV drip. Now you think that's helped you out. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so my wife and her partner, Lynn O'Mallow, have a partner together. It's Prime IV Hydration and Wellness in Marlton. It's been open for a year. And what it is it the IV drips, and like they have a menu of a bunch of things that you can do. But for me, it was especially doing the NAD treatment, because there at the start it's a little expensive, but it works really well. So like you have to go there for 4 days in a row for 3.5 hour drips, and then it cleanses your whole system, and it replaces the cells that when you're older you have to use. And so I noticed like a big difference, because I don't get swelling, and my right fingers are much better. I have to do things left-handed now because my fingers don't work that well. But I'm thinking more clearly. I can speak much clearer. I still have aphasia, so I get mixed up with the words every once in a while. But it makes a big difference. And so like I know a lot of other people are doing that. And they also have peptides for weight loss. And so it's all really healthy. And so we do a lot of promoting, like with Ron Jaworski will have his golf tournament in June. And so she'll be one of the people there with the mobile bags and kind of recovering and hydrating themselves.
Outstanding. Just the process now of the book. You write it with Wayne Fish. Is it you relaying your life story, him picking out pieces? What was the process like of actually going through and making Angel on My Wing?
Yeah, so I think that Wayne Fish did a book with Chris Terrian, like 4 years before that. So he kind of understood how it was going to go, and so he came to me, and I decided, hey, listen, well, with your help, which I needed, I know him for all the years from the writer and the things that he's done, like the charities that he had with me. And so like he had the outline, and then so like it took a year to do the recordings. So we want to put it together the right way so that people can understand what's going on. And he did a really good job with that. And, just it's been really fun. But it was like another year for the editing. And then you have to make sure that everything's done the right way. And but now I think it's number one for stroke books. Like a month into it, so that's good. And so like I'm just keep promoting it and getting the name out, because most of the people have strokes don't know how to get better. Like there's a lot of hints that you can make. There's like the NAD treatment, and like I did Stelsem treatment that I did, and then a couple other things. And so it's just giving back and talking to the people who have strokes and giving them hope and giving them some ideas of what they could do to get better too.
It's outstanding. So people can get the book on Amazon. Is there somewhere you'd like us to get it so it's directly from you? What's the best way to go about getting the book?
I have events like in the New Jersey area, but I had a bunch the last month, and so like it sold a lot of books there. Like I have the Flyers fan club party tonight. so they bought their own books. But I'll see a lot of them. But I always have them with me, and if anybody wants, they can just either mail it or get them signed to me. But yeah, and they can go to Triumph Books because their website, because they can order from there. But I think in Canada it's Indigo. I think they can work there. But so like I know there's a lot of people in Saskatchewan and Toronto and Ontario that are ordering books, and I'm with I played for the Boston alumni, so they've been doing a really good job of promoting my book too for their alumni.
That's outstanding. Finally, Brian, I just really happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today. You'll be joining us again in April on the Montreal trip.
Yeah,
everyone can check that out. Allphly.com right now. Hit that events tab, and it'll take you. You can get tickets, airfare, all sorts of, and meet and greet with Brian Propp. Are you looking forward to that trip?
Oh yeah, because I love Montreal. Because when I played for the Flyers, like Montreal was special to me because growing up in Canada, and the history that they had with all their Stanley Cup banners, and they skated like on the rink once in a while, but not too often. So the ice is always good. But the history in Montreal was special, and the city's awesome. Like anybody that wants to go, sign up because it'll be a beautiful time. It'll just be a good time.
No personal animosity towards Montreal after the Chelios incident still?
Yeah, and well, that's the only one guy that I haven't really forgot. He was a dirty hit, and everybody knows it. And like he's not sorry for what he did, and so that's his. I'm a better person for not reacting to him.
Well, I'm personally happy Ron Hextall did react, but it's you're a class act, Brian, and very happy to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. Check out Brian Propp's book, Angel on My Wing. Get it at triumphbooks.com. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Well, thank you, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.